All forms of media have evolved over their lifespans, and anime is no exception. Anime has changed so much over time that it feels wrong classifying two shows such as Neon Genesis Evangelion and Oremo under the same umbrella when one is clearly better than the other. That being, as you'd assume, Oremo. Jokes aside, anime has changed tremendously this past decade, and this goes for the themes that it covers just as much as it does for the style of art. The themes covered in anime have gone from existentialism to how do I bang my little sister in the most nonchalant way possible. Clearly, it's evolved. We have a period of time that I'd like to call the Renaissance period of anime to thank for this. This period was, as the name suggests, the period of time when anime was reshaped and reborn. Although shows that came out during this period of time aren't yet considered to be classics due to their relatively young age, they've still shaped a generation of anime watchers and future shows. This section of time was home to shows that, to this day, are still considered masterpieces. But regardless of what is thought of all the shows, all of them have not only influenced their watchers but also shows yet to come. What anime is today is thanks to this 7-year-long period, as it's what set the themes of modern shows, the art styles, and going as far as even creating and popularizing entirely new genres of anime. The big three, which is made up of 4 shows, consists of Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach, and One Piece. These 4 shows shaped the modern shonen genre, highlighting what to and what not to do. Naruto and One Piece have shown that an overarching story, a relatively well thought out power scaling system, and cool fights help a shonen's quality and popularity tremendously. While Dragon Ball showed that what I just said was complete bullshit, because as long as you have really cool fights, people will flock to your show anyways. This is displayed in modern shonen through shows like Demon Slayer, which contain a story that's been planned out completely from the beginning, paired with adrenaline-inducing fight scenes. Even though fast and cool fights are great, early shonen wasn't all about epic scenes with enough lights to induce epilepsy. There were many shows during this time period that showed characters mentally struggling and fighting against something that, at times, wasn't even physical. Death Note, Future Diary, and Madoka Magica are all great examples of shonen that don't have extravagant and over-the-top fight scenes but still have some of the most nerve-wracking scenes in anime history because of the choices in color palette, music, and story. Shonen was also the primary genre that shaped anime watchers during the early 2010s through shows like previously mentioned ones as well as Soul Eater and Gurren Lagann. This style of shonen has been adapted into newer airing shows in similar, if not even better ways. Although the change in shonen over time is an obvious one that can be linked back to some of the most popular shonens in a previous era, there are other genres that have clearly changed over time, but have also seemingly been the same regardless of time period. One of these genres is romance.
No, thank you.
Romance is by far one of my favorite genres, and it's also the one with some of the most noticeable changes, disregarding the fact that it simultaneously seems to have only had its art style changed. There have been many romances that cover similar topics as modern shows, and it feels wrong to say that the more recent ones were inspired by their predecessors, when their predecessors seem to have also been inspired by something else. What makes a good romance show stick out, for myself and many others, is when it has something unique about it. A great example of a modern romance that sets itself apart from the other airing shows is Rent-A-Girlfriend, which had unique and relatable characters as well as scenes that had me out of my seat shadowboxing because of how hyped I was. A romance show that did come out during the Renaissance period though, Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions, was also something unlike anything at the time, following around the love of an ordinary guy and someone who suffers from, well, Chunibyo, creating unique and lovable interactions, separating it from the rest. Even earlier than that, there existed movies and shows like Howl's Moving Castle, which did all of those things, if not even more, having unforgettable characters, jaw-dropping scenery, and a story that is adored by many. Yet, it came out far before the previously mentioned two in 2004. The romance genre has definitely changed in the sense that there are less generic shows and more shows that try to separate themselves from the garbage airing, but those shows still don't compare to the emotions behind those that came out during the Renaissance period. Those shows include Clanad, which had everyone watching crying themselves to sleep because of how small our eyes are in comparison and how lonely we are. There's also Oregairu, which had every incel relating to a character so hard they had to wait 5 years to release the 3rd season. Despite romance having always had outlier shows that stood out in comparison to the others, the romance shows that aired from 2007 to 2014 can still be considered masterpieces due to the fact that they shaped the taste of an entire generation of anime watchers. Isekai wasn't revamped nor was it revived during the Renaissance. Rather, it was created during these few years. The isekai genre went from being something really obscure and rare to find to being the one genre that there is an abundance of every new season. Just this past season, there are 3 isekais within the top 10 shows according to my anime list. The only issue with isekai is that it's all literally the same show. There are tons of really good isekais that came out during this period of time, like The Devil is a Part-Timer or The Familiar of Zero, but what these shows attempted to display didn't get passed on to future shows. Instead, every isekai we get now is one with a black-haired, overpowered main character that gets sent into a medieval world with magic and has to stop some kind of evil person or organization. At first, these shows weren't necessarily bad because they were still fresh. Isekai could have been much more because you can literally do anything with an isekai. The main character can be sent into any kind of world, which was done in Helltaker, a game in which the player gets sent into hell, and instead of having to beat Satan, he instead flirts with the demon girls, including Satan herself. The main character doesn't even have to be sent to a unique world. Animators can have characters from other worlds we find unique isekai'd into our world and see their experience with it similarly to what The Devil is a Part-Timer did. Despite this, there are examples of shows that had a similar format to SAO, including SAO itself, which were interesting and fun to watch, such as No Game No Life. Despite this, none of the unique aspects of these shows were taken and adapted into the modern isekai we see now. Even after having been shown so many unique ways to portray an isekai, modern shows have only really taken away the cliches from what they've seen in their predecessors. Since isekai was only really recently made, there is hope that it will eventually evolve and become something to look back on and smile. Although moe isn't a genre, it's the primary reason as to why modern shows look the way that they do. Obviously, other factors play a role in the development of modern anime's art style, such as technological advancements, but had the moe revolution not occurred, shows would still look like this, instead of this. In short, moe is when your heart gets a boner, and is used to refer to things that are, in a sense, cute. The entire appeal of shows like K-On! Is that it's about a group of 4 girls who form a band, and was one of the earlier instances of what is now considered to be the normal anime art style, one with cute characters, bright palettes, and sleek character designs. Moe is a concept that has become one with anime because it's now the face of the medium in not only the West, but also everywhere else in the world that has a substantial anime community. The classics, although having been able to fit into one of the other categories, are shows that were so unique and intricate that I thought they deserved their own category. They were shows that couldn't be rivaled, let alone copied. These shows are what will likely be considered the next Neon Genesis Evangelion or Cowboy Bebop because they not only shaped a generation, but also left an imprint on the viewers. After such a grand introduction for something completely opinion-based, you may be wondering what shows I actually consider to be classics. Well, to name a few, there's Code Geass, which has an ending considered to be a masterpiece to this day by the anime community. Steins Gate with an unforgettable story, characters, and a magnificent ending that ties quite literally everything together. And lastly, who could forget one of the most influential shows to come out the past few decades? Did you really think I'd write nearly 2,000 words about anime and not include a single JoJo's reference? Who do you take me for? JoJo's is by far, in my opinion, the most influential anime to come out in the early 2010s, if not all of anime, thus far due to the cultural significance that it holds. You can show almost anyone within the anime community a JoJo's meme and they'd be able to tell you what it was without ever having seen a single second of JoJo's because of how ingrained JoJo's has become in meme culture. JoJo's is not only recognizable in memes, but they're quite literally JoJo's references in other shows too. When a show gets to the point where it's constantly being referenced by other shows, it's clear that it has had a great impact on anime culture. Disregarding the large amount of cultural significance that JoJo's carries, it's just such a good show with a really unique art style, cast of characters, and story. For JoJo fans, the story is so hard to spoil not because you want the other party to experience it firsthand, but because of how absurd it even is. Assuming you'd never seen JoJo's and I told you that a sharply dressed Italian man breathed so hard that when he punched a frog, a rock split in half. Either you knew exactly what I was talking about, or you can't seem to imagine how that would play any role into a show, and that's the beauty of JoJo's. It's so absurd that the spoilers themselves seem like exaggerations. Simply just please go and watch JoJo's. The script was written before Stone Ocean. I am so fucking hyped for that. The 7-year period spanning from 2007 to 2014 gave way for a new set of shows that can be considered classics, similarly to the likes of shows that came out decades prior. These shows have shaped what the anime community is today as well as what modern anime are like. Many shows have aspects originally appearing during this period that they've adapted to fit their own unique style. If you haven't seen any of the shows previously mentioned, I'd highly recommend all of them, even the ones I talked shit about because those are an experience in and of themselves. By the way, you should like, subscribe, and either comment criticism or comment something like Baba Booey Chungus Unana. Thank you for watching. I'm coming home.